Do you consider yourself a writer or a storyteller? There is a difference, and we're going to talk about that coming up. Hey guys and gals, boys and girls, authors and author wannabes. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Your old buddy Tim back again to dispense wit, wisdom, and advice in the goal of hopefully helping you become a better writer. And I hope you're having a great day. I hope it's productive for you. Fall has fell here in the south. The temperatures are cool, and I'm having some throat issues. So if I have to clear my throat, I'll silence the microphone, but you'll probably see me do something like this. And see, I didn't put the sound because it's just freaking horrific. When I clear my throat, I do small dog rescue. We've got 11 dogs roaming around the mansion here. And when I clear my throat, it just scares the living crap out of all the dogs. So I will not do that to you. Hey, today's question comes from Marie. And if you've got a question you'd like me to try to answer on this program, simply drop it in the comments below. And if I do use your question or comment on a show, I will send you a digital copy of one of my books, Angel of Mercy or Sins of the Father. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like and click the bell notification icon, because God forbid you miss this program, because it is an entertainment value, primarily because it's free. So Marie says, Tim, I'm confused. What is, oh, I'm sorry, Marie, that you're confused. I love it when I get emails from people and go, I'm confused, or they have the F word. I love those in particular. Tim, I'm confused. What is the difference between a storyteller and a writer? I think that I am both. Good for you, Marie. It doesn't sound like you're confused. It just sounds like you have a question, one that I actually get quite a bit when it comes to being an author, because the question really is, can you be a storyteller without being a writer, and can you be a writer without being a storyteller? Well, Marie, confusion is cleared up, because being a writer and being a storyteller are two very different things, at least in this old mind, because a writer by definition is someone who uses written words to tell a story, and a storyteller by definition is someone who communicates through spoken words and actions and images. So they are quite different. One writes down their thoughts, the other oralizes or vocalizes. They talk. Storytellers speak. They tell, hence the term storyteller. But they are two very different skills. In all seriousness, you can be a wonderful writer and be a lousy verbal storyteller, and vice versa. You could be a guy or a gal who sits on the front porch and regales the world with your stories, and you might not be able to write a bad check. So they are two very different skills. The magic happens when they converge. When a great story is taken and put down into words, or vice versa. That's why, think about this, Marie, that's why audiobooks are so popular. Basically, it is taken a written story and verbalizing it. Basically turning it into a storyteller version. That's why they go so wonderfully hand in hand. And I think the difference between the two, Marie, from a personal standpoint, is writers, by their very nature, most writers are introverts. Believe it or not, even me, I'm an introvert. I would rather sit alone in my office in the corner of the trailer here and write than be out there conversing with people. I like dogs much better than I like most humans. Storytellers, on the other hand, Marie, tend to be extroverted. They like to get out there. They like to stand up on a stage and tell a story. So there is a big difference, and they're two completely different skills. Again, to me, the magic really happens when they come together. All right. And you might hear my dogs in the background. I mentioned the small dog rescue. We've got 11 dogs inside today because it's freaking cold here in Alabama. So, there are some writers that are excellent storytellers, like Mark Twain, Garrison Keillor, Louis Grizzard, even someone like a J.K. Rowling. I don't know if you've ever heard her not just read Harry Potter, but also just tell stories on her own. Just a wonderful storyteller. So the magic happens when that line is crossed. Now I'm looking at my notes here because even though I am a bit of a storyteller, I do like to rely on my notes because the brain doesn't reconnect. So, which are you, Marie? Are you a storyteller, or are you a writer, or are you that wonderful hybrid that can take a story and put it on paper for others to enjoy? And that, I think, is the key as well, because verbal communication started back the caveman days when I don't know, Earl the caveman would sit around the fire and tell the young ones stories of chasing the water buffalo, or his wife getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. Don't know why that was don't know why that one was funny, but so storytelling is actually older than writing. But then you've got, okay, the caveman telling the story, and then he's going to start drawing on the cave walls. And to me, not being a historian and talking a lot about things I don't know, that to me is when the written word came about. So they came together, but they are two very different skills. But that's not to say that you can't do both, Marie. If you are a writer who also would like to tell stories, that's pretty easy. You just practice. But don't confuse telling a story with reading from your book. Now, I hear this sometimes too. Authors will go to book signings and they'll be asked to read from their book, and they think that's telling a story. That's not telling a story. Telling a story would be telling the story of your book without reading it. So you can do that if you want to do that. You just practice. One thing that's fun to do is listen to great storytellers. I mentioned the classics, Mark Twain, Lewis Grizzard, Keeler, but there, like for example, here in Alabama, we actually have a storytellers convention once a year at a local college. A bunch of storytellers come along and stand out on the square and tell stories. It's about as exciting as watching paint dry to some folks, but some of the stories are good. So if you want to do that, listen to great storytellers. Listen to how they tell the story, because they don't just read the words, they actually paint. They paint the picture. That's one thing I always love about a great storyteller, is as they're telling the story, you can envision that in your mind. Same way with a great writer. I love to read a writer who whether willingly or on purpose or not, makes these images pop to my mind. So there you go. That's really the difference. Just remember that when you are writing, you are just writing down things, but when you're telling stories, you are verbalizing, and there really is a big difference between the two. Typically, storytelling, the verbal art is much more colorful. It's much more animated. It doesn't go into as deep a detail. In your book, you might use 2 or 3 pages to describe a Victorian mansion where ghosts are. But if you're telling the story, you're probably going to do it much quicker with much more feeling. So, Marie, I hope that was available or helpful to you. I've been rambling. I have no idea what I just said, but I think if you listen to this a few times, you might pick up some nuggets. I'm not the greatest storyteller, Marie. Never claimed to be, but hopefully that was helpful. That's the difference. Are you a storyteller? Are you a writer? Are you one of those wonderful individuals who can bring them both together, like a Stephen King or someone like that? I hope it was helpful. Don't forget, you can be a great writer and be a lousy storyteller, or vice versa. So, Marie, because I used your question and basically chomped it into little bits and spewed it out, you are going to get a digital copy of one of my books, either Angel of Mercy or Sins of the Father. And hey, if you find this channel helpful, appreciate it. Click subscribe, click like, and I'll let you know every time I do one of these, because again, God forbid you miss this, because it is an entertainment value. And again, don't forget, my goal with all of this nonsense is to help you become a better writer. And hopefully I've done that today. If I did, go tell a story or go write it down. Whatever. See you.